Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik, Voss, and Marvel's Secret Invasion makes the MCU in 2023 the year of Fury. Considering we are going to see this guy again in the Marvels this November. But our man Fury has spent many years on this earth, and he has one of the most interesting biographies of any MCU character. And it's filled with secrets that are even now, as of Secret Invasion Episode 2, finally coming to light. So in this Hero Rewind, let's shine a light on this one-eyed super spy to see how he's been saving the world from the shadows since the beginning. And a reminder to subscribe to all 3 of the channels on the New Rockstars network, including our new channel, The Break Room, which is the new home of our Secret Invasion after shows inside Marvel. Okay, Samuel L. Jackson is the longest running actor in the MCU, playing Nick Fury for over 15 years in 11 movies, 4 episodes of the What If Disney Plus animated series, and 2 episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC, which we will include for when Kevin Feige finally brings in Agent Coulson's life model Decoy and Chloe Bennett Quake to save this franchise. There's still time. And all that before what I consider now to be, finally, his starring role in Secret Invasion. We first meet Fury in 2008's Iron Man, but in 2019's Captain Marvel, set in 1995, fills in more of his history. We see his ID listing his birth date as July 4th, 1950. July 4th is also Steve Rogers' birthday. He's listed as S.H.I.E.L.D. level 3 back then. Later in his career, he'll rise to the clearance level 10. His low clearance level here probably explains why, up until this point, he was unaware of the existence of alien life forms, and that there were likely other individuals in S.H.I.E.L.D. who did have that knowledge. But the events of the Captain Marvel film will show his first witnessing of a Skrull when one takes the form of his partner, Agent Coulson. But in this movie, when he's talking with Carol Danvers, we learn more of his backstory and his upbringing.
Where were you born?
Huntsville, Alabama, but technically I don't remember that part.
First job?
Soldier, straight out of high school. Left the ranks of full bird colonel.
Then?
Spy.
Where?
It was the Cold War. We were everywhere. Belfast, Bucharest, Belgrade, Budapest. I like the bees. I can make them rhyme.
Another one of those bees is Bogota, when he became deputy chief of a S.H.I.E.L.D. station under the command of Alexander Pierce, the Secretary of State in Captain America Winter Soldier. Pierce's daughter was taken hostage by a rebel group in Bogota, and Fury came up with a plan to rescue them, and his success here put him on a path to becoming director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Interesting to note now, Bogota does show up as the site of one of the Skrull splinter group terrorist strikes in Secret Invasion Episode 1, maybe a sign of Fury taking his eye off the ball. Now, in the Captain Marvel film, set in 1995, as Fury meets Carol Danvers upon a return to Earth and helping uncover her Kree brainwashing, when back in 1989 as an Air Force test pilot, she got implicated in the Kree killing of the scientist Wendy Lawson for helping the Skrulls build a Tesseract-powered lightspeed engine to find them a new home world. Throughout this movie, Fury has a cut over his eye, a bit of a fake out that we thought would lead to his famous injury that requires his eye patch, but nope, 'twas but a scratch by Goose the Flurkin.
That was a close call, huh, Goosey? Oh, mother flurkin!
You okay?
Yeah, it's just a scratch.
This movie also reveals Fury's infamous toast-cutting pet peeve.
Name a detail so bizarre a Skrull could never fabricate it.
A toast is cut diagonally. I can't eat it.
And no, Fury does not cut his toast diagonally in Age of Ultron, trust me on this. But Fury does make a big deal about how everyone just calls him Fury.
Not Nicholas, not Joseph, not Nick. Just Fury.
What does your mom call you?
Fury?
What do you call her?
Fury.
What about your kids?
If I have them, they'll call me Fury.
It explains how he knows later that his boss is actually Talos.
Excellent work, Nicholas.
But we have definitely heard other MCU characters call him other things over the years, specifically Maria Hill in the Avengers Infinity War post-credit scene. In Captain Marvel, Fury helps the Skrull refugees escape the Kree. He sets up a pager communicator with Carol Danvers and befriends Talos, Soren, and the young Gaia in Louisiana. In honor of Carol's call sign of Avenger, he renames his new hero initiative the Avengers Initiative, and he feeds Goose a Tesseract. And thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. Here at New Rockstars, we like to figure out what makes movies work, go frame by frame to figure out what's really going on. But when we need insight on what's really going on with ourselves, we use BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, just answer a few questions about what you're looking for from therapy and what your preferences are. BetterHelp will then match you with a therapist from their network that's right for you. After that, talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. BetterHelp gives you the same level of professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/newrockstars. That's BETTERHELP.com/newrockstars for 10% off your first month of therapy. Now, Secret Invasion Episode 2 establishes that shortly after this, in 1997, in Brixton in the UK, Fury promises a a group of Skrulls that if they stay hidden on Earth wearing human identities, he would work to find them a new home world. This group included a young Gravik and the Skrull who would become his wife, Priscilla Fury. Fury actually referenced this wife back in Winter Soldier, but we didn't know then how serious he was being.
My wife kicked me out.
Didn't know you were married.
A lot of things you don't know about me.
Okay, so jumping ahead in Fury's life to the late aughts, Fury recruited Tony Stark in the Iron Man post-credit scene and repeated his efforts in Iron Man 2, and we learned from the end of this film that on Fury's radar is both Wakanda and Talokan, pings on S.H.I.E.L.'s world map in the background of that final scene. Now, the events of Iron Man 2 are all part of what was later referred to as Fury's Big Week, which included the events of Iron Man 2, Thor, the Incredible Hulk, and the ending of Captain America: The First Avenger. This leads us to Loki's invasion in the 2012 Avengers movie when Fury headed up Project Pegasus to research a Tesseract.
Sir, please put down the spear. We have no quarrel with your people.
An ant has no quarrel with a boot.
Fury calls this back later.
Ant, boot.
Now in this movie, Fury talks to the World Security Council, a board of shadowy figures, some of whom later turn out to be Hydra like Gideon Malik.
It was designed for exactly this.
Phase 2 isn't ready. Our enemy is. We need a response team.
The Avengers initiative was shut down.
Now Phase 2, obviously a joke to Marvel Phase 2, but it was also S.H.I.E.L.'s plan to roll out the Tesseract-powered weapons, and we learned that Nick Fury before 2008 had been trying to recruit other Avengers over the years, but the World Security Council shut it down. Which is important to note, there might have been other Avengers that we have not met yet. And yes, one detail I'm obligated to mention from the 2012 Avengers film, when Fury briefs Steve Rogers, the Filey Hansen mentions Thanos, the Infinity Gems, and Mephisto. Mephisto! So technically, Fury knew about Mephisto back in 2012. Fury exploits the death of Phil Coulson to motivate the Avengers to work together, down to smearing some of Coulson's Captain America trading cards in his own blood. And while the Avengers fight Loki's forces, Fury fights the World Security Council's call to nuke the city.
I recognize the council has made a decision, but given that it's a stupid-ass decision, I've elected to ignore it.
Now, this brings us to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. When Fury uses Kree blood in Project Tahiti, the project designed to resurrect a fallen Avenger to resurrect Coulson. Fury shows up in the second episode of the series just after Coulson's recruits come together as a team.
Really? Really, Coulson? 6 days? It only took you 6 days to take a completely renovated piece of state-of-the-art machinery and turn it into scrap?
Now, the intention was for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to be MCU canon, but over the years, Marvel Studios ignored the events of the series. But again, I repeat, it is not too late to clarify Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as proper canon. In Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Fury expounds on his lack of trust when he tells Cap a story about his grandfather, who worked as an elevator operator, who is apparently based on Jackson's actual grandfather.
You ever get mugged?
Every week some punk would say, "What's in the bag?"
What would he do?
He'd show him. Bunch of crumpled ones and a loaded .22 Magnum. Your granddad loved people, but he didn't trust them very much.
Fury tells another anecdote in Secret Invasion Episode 2, talking about how he and his mom would have to take train rides from Alabama to Detroit and have to ride in a segregated train car, and how they'd pass the time by playing games like Tell Me Something I Don't Know, which is how he got so good at lying, but more importantly, knowing when other people were lying. In Winter Soldier, Fury survives multiple attempts on his life and fakes his death to expose Hydra's corruption of S.H.I.E.L.D. and their plot to use Project Insight helicarriers to assassinate their enemies. The movie ends with Fury going off the grid.
So, you've experienced this sort of thing before.
You get used to it.
Now, that quote on his gravestone is Ezekiel 25:17, a nice little nod to Samuel L. Jackson's famous speech from Pulp Fiction. We actually learned that in Secret Invasion, Fury has fake graves everywhere. Fury should have begun in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just after the events of Winter Soldier, chronologically, coming out of hiding in an attempt to nail another Hydra operative.
Sir? You don't have to call me Sir Coulson. Look at me. I'm dressed like I live under a bridge.
Fury shows up again in Age of Ultron on Clint Barton's farm, back to spotting that eye patch.
Artificial intelligence. You never even hesitated.
Fury has likely been wary of AI ever since seeing the Kree in Captain Marvel, who were governed by a corrupt supreme intelligence. And yeah, he saw how dangerous Zola's AI was in Project Insight. But once again, Fury sets the Avengers on the right path, like the good dad that he is, and gives them the boost they need to get back in the fight.
Back in the day, I had eyes everywhere, ears everywhere else. You kids had all the tech you could dream of. Here we all are, back on Earth, with nothing but our wit and our will to save the world.
And in the final battle, he saves all the Sokovians on a helicarrier with some old S.H.I.E.L.D. contacts. Now, we do not see Nick Fury again until the post-credit scene in Avengers Infinity War, when he dusts and summons Captain Marvel.
Mother.
After the Avengers reverse the snap in Endgame, Fury shows up at Tony Stark's funeral. And then, in Spider-Man Far From Home, the real Nick Fury was off-world, having assigned Talos to give Peter Parker Tony Stark's Edith glasses, while Fury was on the Skrull space station that we later learned was Saber. Now, Far From Home did some serious damage to the city of London, which Sonya Fallsworth references in Secret Invasion Episode 1, showing that these two spies also have a history together. And now, in Phase 5 of the MCU, we're seeing a lot more of Saber, which is part of Nick Fury's interplanetary defense system signed off by the White House. Fury apparently trying to continue Tony Stark's longtime mission to build a suit of armor around the world. And as we will see in the Marvel's trailer, he has allied himself with Monaco Rambeau to pick back up with SWORD's astronaut program. So, some fresh takeaways about Nick Fury as we celebrate this year of Fury. 1. He learned not to trust people after growing up in Alabama in the 50s. 2. He fought in the Cold War and has been stationed in cities all over the world. 3. In 1997, he promised the Skrulls a new home planet, but never followed through and now spends most of his time on Saber. 4. Previously worked with other Avengers we haven't met yet, like maybe Wolverine. 5. Has a wife who's a Skrull. 6. Keeps weapons and supplies in several fake graves. 7. Knows how to resurrect people via Tahiti, which could come in handy. And 8. Knows about Mephisto. You can support this growing network by grabbing something from our merch store, nerdriot.shop. Subscribe to New Rockstars along with the Deep Dive and the Break Room on YouTube and all social platforms. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EAVoss. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.